Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and thanks to LEGO Bricks and Pieces and Pick-a-Brick, the LEGO Black Falcon remodeled torsos that came from the LEGO Ideas Medieval Blacksmith are available to buy in bulk. And so, I did what naturally I believe a lot of people did when they saw that these were available, make an army of brand new LEGO Black Falcons. Now, who are the Black Falcons? Well, the Black Falcons was a classic LEGO castle sub-theme, one of the most popular castle sub-themes they ever made, depicting these blue armored knights with a Black Falcon's crest that honestly has been referenced throughout LEGO a ton of times throughout LEGO's history, even popping up as the main emblem of clay from LEGO Nexo Knights as early as 2016. But in 2020, vintage LEGO Castle fans were in for a treat, because not only did we get the incredible LEGO Ideas Medieval Blacksmith, but it also introduced a brand new set of Black Falcon torsos with gunmetal gray legs, which people were so hyped to be able to buy in bulk directly from LEGO. And that's exactly what I did. Since then, these Black Falcons have appeared in a myriad of different LEGO sets, from the Lion Knight's castle to the Creator 3-in-1 castle, but one thing has stayed pretty much the same amongst all of them, and that's the fact that they pretty much are just utilizing these standard pieces. Same armor configurations, maybe a couple of different heads and hair pieces. And so what I wanted to do was set out to actually diversify the army and really divide it up into my own factions of specialists, archers, to crossbow artists, to falconers, of course with the Black Falcons, to swordsmen, to knights, to king's guards, to the king himself. I wanted to make a very diverse and unique regimented army to showcase all my Black Falcon custom minifigures, and that's what I've done for this video. And so without further ado, let's take a look at all of the different specialist figures in my custom LEGO Black Falcons army, and hopefully this might inspire you to make some custom figures of your own. I have to say that making this video and putting together this army was an absolute joy. One of my favorite things to do as a kid was just to mix and match different pieces of LEGO minifigures, from armor pieces to heads to helmets, and really just make the most custom kitted out minifigures I could. And putting this together honestly felt like I was just a kid sitting on the floor playing with LEGO again, just like in the good old days. And so this really reignited kind of that fun for me of playing with LEGO and coming up with my own characters and my own stories behind why certain factions would look a certain way and why certain minifigures would have a certain type of armor. This was so much fun, and I'm just so happy to have been able to share this fun with all of you. And so, without further ado, let's take a look at my massive LEGO Black Falcon minifigure army. So whenever I'm making custom LEGO minifigures, one thing I love to do is keep them a little bit different from the standard base form of the figure themselves. Essentially what we got for the standard Black Falcon Knights for the original Medieval Blacksmith was these knights right here, where you can see it's a pretty standard configuration. They're using the armor piece introduced for the Praetorian Guard in Star Wars, and then just a standard knight's helmet. And while I did want to keep a number of these soldiers using the same configuration, I also wanted to try out something completely different. If we go over here, the way that I was able to put together these minifigures is that one of the few things I have sorted in my collection are these bins of minifigures, where this bucket is full of stuff like capes, waist accessories, neck accessories, stuff like that. So armor pieces, capes and whatnot. We've got hairs and helmets. We have torsos, legs, heads, and so on. And so what I did was essentially just scrounge through my medieval parts collection and really try to come up with all sorts of different and unique things to utilize for the knights themselves. Now, if we pop on over here, I do have some of my knights currently populating the castle. So this was a custom castle that can be made out of the Creator 3-in-1 castle, which is a really cool build. Did a full video on this if you are curious. So I do have like some of the knights keeping up guard here. I also have some of them stationed around the Medieval Blacksmith, which again, this was the original set that they came in from LEGO Ideas. But for the most part, most of my knights are mounted on horseback right over on the board over there. And I think it's now time we actually take a closer look at the army itself. So for this army, what I was able to do was actually put together all sorts of different ranks of figures. I kind of have the king or the leader here, the King's Guard. We actually have some of the Falconers from the collectible minifigure series, which is really cool. And we have some archers, crossbow people, barbarians back here with hammers, all sorts of fun stuff. And one thing you might notice is that I do not actually have a ton of the horse bardings, which were introduced in the Lion Knight's castle. I do have them on order from Pick-a-Brick, but they are taking a little bit longer to get here, so I figured why not showcase the army in its current state. And if people want to see more updates to the Black Falcon army, do let me know, because this is a continuously evolving thing. The more knights and castle stuff that LEGO puts out, the more stuff I'm going to add to this board. So I think it makes sense naturally to just start off with the king figure here. This is one that I've really kitted out with all sorts of unique detail and design utilizing chrome elements. Let me go ahead and remove him from the platform here, but this initial chrome helmet was first introduced in LEGO Knights Kingdom 1. It was done in chrome for Cedric the Bull, who was one of the main villains of Knights Kingdom, but it works just fine for this character here. What I've done is I've even kind of blinged up the arms. I've given him some golden gauntlets using the Lord of the Rings 1 ring piece, which you can actually use as these kind of arm pieces if you remove the hands of the characters themselves. Of course, gotta have a chrome silver sword. This one actually came from a juniorized line of LEGO Pirates, but I think it fits pretty well here as kind of a scimitar. And I also wanted to put one of the other specialized LEGO sword pieces for him to use. Like, you know, maybe could always come with 2 swords. So this one is actually a dual molded piece from LEGO Harry Potter in silver and transparent red. This is the Sword of Godric Gryffindor, but I think it is working perfectly fine as a super fancy, nice looking sword. So, surrounding the king himself, I have a number of different King's Guard members, and let me just take one of them right here to showcase it. This is actually using a special torso from the Build-A-Minifig stations. In the Build-A-Minifig stations in LEGO stores, we got this torso right here, which seemingly doesn't have necessarily that many ties to the Black Falcons themselves, but if you rotate it on the back, you actually have the Black Falcons logo, so maybe these are like a special Red Falcons faction. You can kind of imagine whatever you want to do with these, but I figured that since there are so few of these, I don't have a ton of these torsos because they are only in the LEGO store stuff. I wanted to make them a special type of guard for the king. They are armed with these pike elements as well as large hammers, which originated from the LEGO Bionicle system sets, which are really cool, large-looking, somewhat medieval-looking pieces, even though technically they were made for the Bionicle theme. Let's see, what else do we have here? So, moving onwards to the side, I just have a couple of these 2 knights right here. This one right here is utilizing the chrome silver sword, which was introduced for LEGO Castle, and also using a different type of armor piece. This armor was introduced for LEGO Ninjago Master of the Mountain, which was Season 13 of LEGO Ninjago, when the ninja went underground to unite the Munts and Geckos against the Skull Sorcerer. And you can see that this is a really nice looking armor piece with kind of an asymmetrical look and feel to it. So just gives a different look and feel to the actual thing itself. And I, for whatever reason, got a ton of white spears off of bricks and pieces, so I figured why not just give them a unique style of weapon for their horses to kind of accompany them. So there are a couple of other ones, like you've got another one right here, and I really tried to keep it consistent in the way that I was setting stuff up, but then we can move on to some of these other characters. Next up, we have one of the crossbow kind of long-range soldiers here. This one's utilizing the Lord of the Rings style brown horse. This one is very similar to the other one, but just using a crossbow and then having one of those other Bionicle weapons here, which is, I guess, a bit of a lance or a spear type of thing. So just another nice weapon to add onto this platoon, and I think it'd be really cool if I kind of set aside a platoon of one of each individual kind of soldier here, so you can kind of see all the different things we're working with as I work my way through this video. So one of the ones that I had a lot of fun doing is that obviously most of the heads of these characters are covered up by the helmets, but the ones that I figured that maybe made sense not to have covered up by the helmets were the Falconers, because we did get a special Falconer minifigure from the Black Falcons. They had a collectible minifigure series earlier this year, and they had a Falconer figure in the Black Falcons getup. So I managed to get just 4 of those, but I wanted to switch out the heads to make them different characters. So this one's maybe an older guy right here. We have a younger Falconer, and then you have the classic one with the red hair, which is what we got in the series itself, as well as another female character here utilizing one of the older LEGO Castle kind of female princess heads, but I figured maybe it makes sense to have as a Falconer as well. I'm going to grab the original one right here. This is the kind of classic template from the collectible minifig series. This is one of my favorite figures from that series because it actually comes with a dual molded arm with printing on the side of the arm for the Falconer glove, which looks really cool. You also have dual molded legs with boots, so you have dark brown boots here and excellent printing on the leg itself, which is so cool. I did add the armor piece. I believe that the armor piece was not included in the minifigures itself, but I figured, you know what? I have a lot of extra gunmetal gray Praetorian Guard armor pieces from the LEGO Ninjago core sets for the Serpentine. Why not add them to the Falconers themselves and give them a bit of armor? And I just love the dark blue capes on the back of them as well. Moving onwards, we have a one-of-a-kind figure here. This one is actually a really special one. It's kind of a tournament knight for the Black Falcons. This originated from the LEGO Kingdoms Joust set, which was actually a Black Falcons knight with a very specialized shield here. This was only introduced in that 2011 set, and I figured it made sense to put him on a steed. He is not using the original steed, which had a black and silver Black Falcons livery to it. The reason for that is because I actually have a separate display of all of my animals, and I wanted to display all the unique animals in my collection on one board. So I've taken those animals, put them there, but maybe I'll get some more off of Bricklink in the future. In the center here, I'm not going to remove it because it really nicely kind of sets the stage of the build. I just have a cart being drawn by one of the horses and a couple of knights kind of attached to the cart itself. This is the exact same build from the Medieval Blacksmith. I've basically just taken that build and put it here, and you can see this is the cart and kind of carrying some more soldiers and even some like helmets and bags and stuff inside of this area. So just kind of adding on to the scene here. This is more of a minifigure display than an actual full-on scene, but I guess you get the gist of it. Next up, we have the standard knight. I got a ton of these, just literally regular knights that are basically in the regular configuration for the Black Falcons knights themselves. Extra sword, because why not? You could always use an extra sword in case you need one. I found myself with an abundance of swords, so I just started adding extra swords to the sides of things because I could. But you've got regular knight there, not too much to say about that. Now, I do have some more specialized troops here with an actual kind of longbow archer here. These ones are utilizing the kind of archer style of helmets that we got initially for the fantasy era LEGO Castle sub-theme. It is basically just a standard knight, but I've also added a quiver to the back. Technically, the quivers don't really interface fully well with the armor, but if you're willing to let the pieces bend a little bit, you can make it work, and I figured it just looked really cool to have this be fully armored up with the bow and the quiver, so I definitely did that sacrifice to make it look a little bit cooler. And finally, we just have one more, I guess, class of knight that I've created, and that is this Barbarian style here. I tried to give them more unique head prints for the Barbarians. Like this one's got like the hair showing, and he looks like a very battle-hardened warrior here, and this is utilizing the dwarf helmets from the Castle 2008 Fantasy Era sub-theme, but I figured they worked really well for Falcons because the wings on the side actually kind of look like the Black Falcons logo, so I figured like maybe these are elite soldiers or Barbarians or like kind of the most powerful soldiers in the army. I didn't have a ton of these helmets. I only had, I think, 5 to spare, so I figured why not just put all 5 together. You can see them right here. Love that helmet design, though. That's one of my favorite helmets that LEGO has put out for Castle, and that is just one more of those characters. And I believe that with that, we have taken a look at pretty much all of the different characters, which you can see I have basically made, aside from the king, 8 unique classes of characters. We have the King's Guard, the Falconers, Standard Knights, Barbarians, we have the Crossbow Archers, Longbow Archers, Tournament Knight, as well as another Elite Knight, maybe with a chrome sword, and obviously, this is not supposed to be anything historical. This is just kind of what I thought personally was cool for my own collection, but I'm super curious to see what other folks have done because I know a lot of people are making their own unique customized armies with Black Falcon figures, so I've seen a lot of really cool customs out there. I'm super curious to see what other stuff people are going to be working on, and hopefully this was some fun inspiration for you to maybe take some figures and make your own army. Again, it's really great that LEGO is selling the torso and legs individually on Pick-a-Brick because that means you can just buy them in bulk and for a pretty good price as well, so I'm really happy about that. And absolutely, I will be adding on more to this army, so if you have any suggestions on more minifigures to add to my Black Falcons army, please let me know, and I hope you enjoyed my overview of some of my custom figures that I've made for the Black Falcons army itself. Alright, and with that, we have taken a look at my Black Falcons army. Let me know down in the comments below, have you ever done something like this? I'm sure I can't be the only one who ordered a ton of these torsos and legs off of Pick-a-Brick and immediately started customizing with their own pieces. There's gotta be more people out there. In fact, I myself have seen some really impressive Black Falcon armies in particular from a lot of major LEGO builders around the community, especially during my recent trip to Brickworld Chicago. I saw a ton of amazing Black Falcon armies there, so I'm sure a lot of people are going crazy with this. This was just kind of my take on what a customized, specialized, and split up into factions Black Falcon army could look like, and I hope you enjoyed this process of going through and actually seeing my minifigure customizations. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.